UFC 311 finished up a few hours ago. Now I'm going to recap the entire card. I made a prediction video for this card, and I predicted every single bout, starting with the early prelims, finishing with the main event. Now, that was under the assumption that this card wasn't cursed. Four undefeated guys on this card, with some of them with extreme odds in their favor, they went 0-4. That's insane. Firstly, the location wasn't the best either. However, 0-4 for undefeated fighters, a heavy favourite, some of them. That's absolutely insane. Four cancelled matchups on fight week, like people pulling out left, right, and centre. New matchups going in stupid card. But we're gonna go through my predictions and go through the fights individually. Starting off with not the main card opener, with the early prelim opener. Tair Ulanbekov versus Clayton Carpenter. I said Clayton Carpenter submission round 2. And he didn't get that submission. So we're starting off with a big fat 0% prediction rate. This is absolutely incredible, guys. This top tier stuff right here. Ulanbekov. Well, I mean, he won. Well, how did he even win? What happened? He held him down pretty easily against the fence. Started speaking to DC and said, "This one for your brother," and picked him up and threw him on the ground. Awful defense there by Clayton Carpenter. However, he was doing all right on the feet. I did say he would do all right on the feet. He won round 1. Did he win round 1 Yeah, I think he did. Based on good leg kicks, decent boxing as well. Carpenter had some good defense though when he got him down initially. Ulanbekov started hitting heavy ground and pound from the top, and Carpenter had to respond with returning elbows. But I mean, Joe Rogan glazed the defensive elbows in this fight for some reason. I don't know why. He glazed the bottom fight. So you do not want to be in this guard. He's got a nasty, nasty rubber guard. It's insane. Right. Anyway, moving on to the next fight on the card: Sopaj versus Turnos. Now, I will admit here, I said I really need to learn these names. Ricky Turnos. I said he would be fragile and not have a strong chin. This man had a chin. I don't know where it came from. I thought, he's gonna get chinned easily round 1, easy KO, or I said round 3 in the video, but he took a beating, right? He brought the fight on him, and respect to him. He did also lose, and it was a clear 30-27 decision in my opinion, and also in the opinion of the judges. But his chin held up and made a granite, and even though I got the prediction right, and I'm up to a 50% prediction rate. Come on, you can respect it because he did he did put up a very good fight. So fair enough to the guy. Sopaj still won, but fair enough. Next up on the card, we've got our first undefeated fighter who got his first O. Minus 650, 6-1 favorite, heavy favorite, and he got schooled. 3 rounds. Yeah, 3 rounds to nil. Okay, that's probably not a good thing to say with the Japanese. Never mind. 3 rounds to nil, right? Schooled. Okay? Rocked him. At the end, he kept getting... No, not even at the end. He had like 4 schooled knockdowns. He had 4... I got this one wrong as well, guys. We're up to 33%. He had like four knockdowns at the end of it. He kept getting rocked. He wouldn't shoot a takedown. He tried to go full bow nickel and just ignore his wrestling background and just fight. Just stupid, in my opinion. In anyone's opinion, I don't know what he was doing. He's a wrestler at base, and he sat there trying to strike with him like a moron. So, low IQ. I'm not going to pile on too much because he does need to recover. Hopefully, he does recover and come back better. But, I mean, realistically, you're getting fraud checked by Gufrao. Come on, brother. Right? Next up, we had Perez versus Rosa. What have I got for this fight? I mean, realistically, decent control from Perez. Slightly better on the feet. That's all I've got really written down here. And I did say hopefully this wasn't the shit break of the card. But, I mean... if we're being real here, it probably was the shit break of the card. Now, obviously, this was the 3rd straight decision we've had in a row, and that will continue as we move into the next event anyway, next fight. But as a whole, it did kind of kill the momentum that we had going. Like we didn't have much momentum, but we did just see a guy get schooled for 3 rounds. And then we saw Turnos and Sopaj go to war as well. And then we see these two kind of it wasn't the highest quality, but it wasn't necessarily an awful fight. So we have to give him that, but it wasn't a barn burner, as Dana White would say. So moving on, we then have our fourth straight decision in a row with Grant Dawson and Diego Ferreira. Round one, Dawson got a decent. This was arguably worse than the Perez fight, if we're going to be honest here. Dawson did what Dawson does, and that is just hold people down and stall the fight. He called out Beneil Dariush, to be fair, and said he's willing to make the April turnaround, which is fair enough. Good on Grant Dawson. He knows he ain't getting no money matchup fighting like that. So that's all I'm saying. His stand-up was absolutely atrocious, Dawson's. This is the problem with most of the grapplers. They are very one-dimensional fighters. So this is similar with Nakamura, whereas earlier on the card, they don't have very good striking. Like he won because his grappling's amazing and because he can hold his opponent down. But in terms of striking ability, they all suck. And that really showed in this card. And I feel like if he goes against a guy who can stall a takedown, he probably loses. So maybe he loses against Beneil Dariush. It's a very good stylistic matchup for him. He probably beats Benny, if we're being honest here. So, you know. But moving on down the card, we're on to the prelims and we get our first finish of the night. Now, this should have been a KO, realistically speaking. But, I mean, Mike Belchart had different ideas. He wanted Billy to work a little bit and just get his face pummeled in. Realistically, I said round one KO for Gustav. This was meant to be Johnny Walker, and if it was Johnny Walker, it would have been a round one KO. But I mean, the entirety of round one, he's spent on his back with Billy Alankia, I think his name. We'll just call him Billy. Just held him down, held his back for the entire round, trying to work to a rear naked choke. Didn't get it, and then gave it up 40 seconds before the end of the round, and lost the round on damage because he got his face pummeled in. Like the thing is, like we do big up some of the fighters and say, oh, he's showing real heart here. Like I know DC was saying on the commentary desk, he was kneeling down on the floor, both knees on the floor, so he doesn't get kneed in the face from Bogdan because it will be illegal. So he is sat there, one hand on the cage, one hand on the floor, one hand in front of his face, kneeling on the ground so that Bogdan can't throw a knee in his face and knock him out. That isn't showing heart. That's just basically taking advantage of the rules to try and force your way in a little bit. Luckily for him, he wasn't an undefeated fighter. Otherwise, that would have made 5 on the card. He was also, how is he the favorite going in? Who makes these odds? Jerry, I don't know who makes these bloody odds, man. Insane. What happened? Yeah, so he's basically sat in the fetal position, getting his head caved in, and then Gustav just slips a guillotine underneath and puts his weight on him, and Billy taps. So, I mean, I got this one right. Well, I don't even know if we're tracking this at this point, but we're up to 67%. We're in the big leagues now, boys. And then we get it wrong. We said that Reese would win, or he said, don't know how to say his name, and Bakayev. I think it's Bakayev, isn't it? Sounds a lot like Mohammed Bakayev. But Bakayev won, and this was a nasty KO, if we're being real here. Reese was out for like a solid minute and a half, 2 minutes. Big ground and pound. Referee should have probably stopped it sooner, if we're being real here. Because that was bad. And then it doesn't help that when he pushed Bakayev off him, he slammed his head back into the mat. I mean, that probably wasn't very good for his concussion either. But at the end of the day, it's the fight game and stuff like that happens all the time. So hopefully he has a quick recovery and he can come back soon. But Bakayev's a very good prospect. First fight in the UFC. They'll probably give him something better. He's from that area in Russia, so he's probably going to get slightly better treatment than some other fighters, just because that's how the UFC work, and they can also. He's very profitable in terms of that area of the world. Anyway, moving on. We have the biggest fraud check I think I've ever seen. This might have just been one of the biggest underdog losses in the history. Is that even correct? Yeah, no, I might have messed up on my thingies up there. Ignore the prediction rate for it's not at 85% and 75%. It'll correct itself later. Peyton Tabo versus Ragina. I still can't say his name. Baselios. My prediction was around 1 KO for Peyton Tabo. 98% of people agreed with me that Tabo was going to win. The bookies put him at a 1100 favorite. My microphone is messing me around here. Right? 1100 favorite. Baselios was a 7-1 wait, 7-1 winning? 71 underdog, right? You put 100 on Baselios, you get what? What'd you get back? I'm stupid. 700 is what you get back. I'm a moron. And he won. Decision 3. It's not even like it's not even like he caught him with a good right hand and knocked him out. 3 straight rounds. Like I'm not gonna try and pull on Tabo a little bit too much, but he disappointed really. If we're gonna be honest, his first fight back in a while. We're all sat there. We're all hyped for this guy. Joe Rogan sat there. He's hyping him up, saying this guy's the most hyped person. He's just different levels of power. You know how Joe Rogan likes to yeah. It doesn't matter. Anyway, he's in this situation and he's just not. He wasn't performing, and then he's in the third round and he's kind of scrapping a little bit. And let's just be real here. Bahelios can also not strike, as this was pretty much the entire point of the card of getting a bunch of grapplers who can't strike. He's getting rocked on the feet, right? So how did you lose all 3 rounds to a guy that can't even strike? Including one was a 10-8. One was a 10-8. You got 30-26 by some random guy. Umar Nurmagomedov ran through this guy. And he lost on this card. You get what I mean? Like, Bahelios should not have beaten Tabo ever, but he did, apparently. So, I don't know. Moving on down the card. Kevin Holland versus Derrida. I said Derrida round 2 submission. Should have been better. It was a round 1 submission. Great jiu-jitsu shown by Derrida. I mean, realistically, it's Kevin Holland. He turns up for fun. Realistically, he turns up for a chat in the cage for fun, and then he gets choked out, and we kind of say, okay, whatever. Like he gave up last time in his last fight. I forgot who it was against because I'm a fool. It was at UFC 3. Was it 307? It was the Bahera versus, or it was Bahera versus Khalil card. I'm looking it up. Kevin Holland. Okay, and it's not going to come up, is it? Right? Give me a second, guys. Roman Dolidze. That's who he fought. So he fought Roman Dolidze. I'm pretty sure he broke his rib in that fight, but effectively he gave up. If we're being real here, doctor stoppage. And then this fight, he pretty much didn't even try. He turned up. He did some, defensive grappling, whatever. Ridder got his back and he just tapped the moment he got his rear naked choking. So Kevin Holland should probably be cut from the promotion if we're being honest here, but he won't be because he's too profitable. And what 300k he gets per fight? He gets 300k for fight. He's get 300 to show, 300 to win. Kevin Holland, right? He got 300 to show for 3 minutes of getting out grappled by Derrida. Insane. He shot a takedown off rip as well. Anyway, next up on the card, Jelton Almeida versus Sergey Spivak. Spivak got a takedown on Almeida. Almeida pretty much just socked for the first 3 minutes of this 5-minute fight, sorry. Until he pretty much just rocked Spivak, took him down, and just started beating him with ground and pound. Realistically, it should have been stopped sooner. I mean, Spivak could have done something to defend himself rather than just sit in the position with his hands on his head. I know we stopped it with 7 seconds left in the round, but Spivak was lying there taking big heavy hits from a guy on top of him at heavyweight. You need to defend yourself. You need to roll around a little bit or just give a thumbs up to the referee and prove that he's okay. Otherwise, he's going to stop it. I've got nothing wrong with this stoppage, and it probably should have happened sooner in my opinion because Spivak wasn't doing anything. I don't know why heavyweights complain about the stoppages after they sit there and they don't do anything to move or get a better position. They just get pummeled with massive hits. If you're not going to move and you're not going to prevent the stoppage in any way, the fight's going to get stopped and you can't just sit there and complain about it and say it's a bad stoppage and blame the referee. Moving on to the feature fight on the card. I said Jamal Hill round 1 KO. My man got stiffed out cold in the third round. He did get dropped in the first as well. Yuri was clearly winning this fight. Now, granted, Yuri did. He said he's going to fight with his hands up this fight. That completely went out the window within the first 3 minutes. I don't know. Like he had his hands up, right? He then got clipped by Jamal Hill, and his hands are back at his side, with like bringing up every so often to like try and defend his face. But I mean, if Yuri can defend his face a little bit, then he might actually have a chance at stand and banging with Pereira. He's called for the third fight with Alex Pereira. That he's gonna, if he loses that, he's gonna call for the fourth fight, is he? Like he's doesn't really matter. Good win for Yuri Pascal. Moving on to the co-main event. Umar Nurmagomedov, fraud checked. Listen, boys, I said Merab's going to win by decision, and realized I didn't believe in my own decision. I should have believed. I stood my base, and I said Merab's going to win. And my whole thinking was Merab can be worse for longer than Umar can be good. And that's how it worked. Merab, first 2 rounds, close rounds, he's getting pieced up by Umar round 2. Umar gasses out in the third round. Okay? Umar is gassed in the third round, and Merab is just swinging. Okay, Umar lands a few takedowns to Merab. He reverses a few takedowns. That's round 2. And then Merab is he's running at him, and he's pushing a pace that Umar physically cannot keep up with. Now, is that because Merab is inhuman and got probably on insane levels of EPO? Probably. However, Umar didn't look like he was ready for a title fight, and probably should have had at least one other fight other than Corey Sanhagen to get him a title fight against Merab. Because Merab is now pretty much the uncensored bantamweight GOAT. You can't really argue. Like, he's beaten Aldo. He's beaten O'Malley. He's beaten Cejudo. Who else has he beat? He's beaten so many former champs. That's 3. I can list them all right now. I'm gonna do that. O'Malley, Piotr Jan, Jose Aldo, Henry Cejudo. That's 4 former champs. He destroyed all 4 of them, doing this one method of just being worse than them for longer. And that's what Merab does. And Umar couldn't keep up with the pace. And then round 4, Merab is getting easy takedowns. He's getting a single leg and then just flipping Umar over. He's pushing the pace. We go into round 5. Umar is gassed. He gets like put down on the floor or like from a takedown. Merab takes Umar down and then just walks off as he's doing. He just plods away. And Umar is like slowly back up to his feet. Tired, gassed. And Merab rocks him the last round. If you're getting rocked by Merab Darshvili, you are not a top tier fighter. That's probably a lie. He did rock Henry Cejudo as well. But Merab doesn't have strong punches. He has pillow hands. He shouldn't be rocking you in the 5th round of a fight. But he just pushes an insane pace, and he's on EPO, and he's just insane compared to the rest of the bantamweight division. He's probably going to beat everyone and be the GOAT of all time. There's nothing we can do about it. Merab is absolutely insane and inhuman. This was a very entertaining fight, to be fair. So I'll give him that. As long as he keeps up this entertaining route, we'll let him off a little bit. Plus, he was very entertaining in the build-up to the fight. Hey, brother, hey, brother. Bro waffles far too much. Anyway, main event, Islam. I had Islam winning by decision. I just didn't want to say he would finish Renato Moicano. I wanted to live within dreamland for a little bit that Renato Moicano would rob him of a round. He didn't. Islam Makhchev's the only guy on this card who was supposed to perform and did actually perform. Everyone else who was supposed to perform either didn't perform or underperformed. So, Renato Moicano did sort of drop him, and he did hold his own sort of within the takedown, but Islam Makhchev's just too good. His squeeze is absolutely insane. He cinched up a Darce choke, and within a second, Moicano was going, right? He can't, and I feel for Moicano as well, because he looked very unhappy after it, and he probably knows he's not going to get an opportunity like this again. And Islam's he's going to stay with the belt, and he's just going to beat everyone, if we're being honest here. But that was it for this one. Let me know what you think. Oh, Moicano also dropped him as well. It was more of a slip, but he dropped him. Let me know what you think of this video, or the predictions in the video, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye.